What I have kind of found over the past 5 years of doing what I do is most shoulder pain doesn't come from the shoulder.
My crib, zero Snapchat, zero Instagram posting.
Who has had shoulder pain? Who has shoulder pain? Who's been to a Chiro MD PT for an injury and they told you to stop working out? So my goal as a rehab chiropractor is to make sure you keep doing your activities that you want to do for a lifetime. What I have kind of found over the past 5 years of doing what I do is most shoulder pain doesn't come from the shoulder. Number one indicator for pain, does anyone know it? Previous pain. So if you've had shoulder pain in the past, you're more likely to have shoulder pain. Back pain, you're more likely to have back pain. That is if you don't fix the reason why it came on. So today, what we're going to cover is the 3 areas that I see the most often that contribute to shoulder pain, which is 1, the neck, 2, the rib cage, 3, the hip. So if you keep overusing the shoulder for another joint, the shoulder's only made to do so much. If it does the job of the hip or the rib cage as well, now the shoulder is doing more work. Now you're going to have most likely shoulder pain. I want to get you guys standing real quick. All right, so I just want you to jump around. Get the blood flowing. Have some fun. How does body feel? Feet, knees, hips. How do they feel? Agile. Light, sore. Neck, shoulder, low back. Not too bad. All right, take a seat. See, now you guys are talking, you're smiling. I like this. So this is going to be a little bit different than maybe previous workshops you've been to, one with me or with other people. We're going to spend time on the root causes and really not look at the shoulder too much. We're going to test some shoulder stuff, but the other stuff that we're going to be doing is going to be rib cage, neck, hips, and then see what changes are made to the shoulder. So what we're going to do to start is a little bit of a shoulder warm-up, okay? This is the only shoulder thing we're going to be doing, and probably the only thing you should be doing every single day of your life. It takes 3 minutes. Let's have you stand and spread out a little bit. Find enough space that you can kind of swing your arms around. So in order to have good shoulder control, we've got to make sure we can use the shoulder joint as slow as possible through the fullest range of motion. Make sense? Okay. So we're going to start. Pinkies together. You're going to slowly raise up overhead. Only go as far as you can without the back moving. As soon as you hit that spot, you're going to start turning your palms forward. And then you're going to rotate all the way around. And then you're going to reverse it. Who has pain, pinching, tightness? Grinding. Okay. So about half of you. Pain, pinching, tightness, going through a gentle shoulder range of motion, probably not a great thing. So I'm going to have you do it again. And this time I want you to focus side to side. Do we have any imbalances? Does something feel different? Not so much pain, but just how does the shoulder joint itself feel? Go through it again. And start turning all the way back. And then start reversing it. Differences side to side. Whose left one's worse? Whose right one's worse? Okay, half and half again. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to start teasing things out. Is this a rib cage issue? Is this a neck issue? Is this a hip issue? Where do you guys want to start? We'll play choose your own adventure today. Neck? Okay. What I want you to do is you're going to take your neck, and we're going to do that pretty much that same big circle, but with our neck. You guys have done the neck rolls, shoulder rolls, all that stuff. I want you to go slow. I want you to go controlled, and I want you to listen to my directions. So you're going to start. Chin goes down to your chest. You're going to take your chin, and you're going to point it towards your right shoulder now. Any pain, any pinching? Correct. Non-painful? Not painful? Then we're good. Now you're going to drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Pain, pinching, tightness. Yeah. You're going to roll all the way back so you're looking at the top, looking up towards the ceiling. And then you're going to go to the other side. Left ear to left shoulder. Chin down to the collarbone and back to the middle. Pain, pinching, tightness for tight. Okay. So that tells me that there could be a neck issue playing into the shoulder problem. I'm going to have you go the other way now. Chin goes down. Turn to the left collarbone, left ear to left shoulder, all the way up towards the ceiling. Down to the right side, and back to the middle. Did it feel different going that way? No. Okay. What did you guys notice as you went through it? Did you notice you were limited in one part of the motion or the other? Maybe getting your ear all the way down to the shoulder. Maybe being able to turn without pain, without pinching. How was looking up towards the ceiling? Easy? Any pinching, any pain? No. Beautiful. The sides are harder. Yeah. So that's usually what I see in people with upper extremity issues is they just can't bend their ear to shoulder. What that's going to tell me is now in order to bend your ear to your shoulder, you're going to do this. You see how the shoulder's working now instead of what the neck should be doing? Overload the shoulder. Now you got shoulder pain. Same thing with pull-ups. As you pull up, most people don't keep their chin in a fairly neutral position. What do? Reach their neck up. Now their neck is doing the job of the shoulder. So when we look at shoulder pain, we've got to look at everything around the shoulder first before we say this is an actual shoulder issue. I'm going to put a caveat on that. If you've had trauma, bike accidents, car accidents, slip and falls, whatever, okay, now there might actually be a shoulder issue going on. What I see in the office, people that have pain 3, 5, 10 years, usually not the case. So what I want you guys to do now is you're going to lay on your back. I'm going to borrow Jesse for a second. I'm going to show you what you're going to do. In the human body, we can't really assess rib cage mechanics, so we have to use a proxy. What I mean by proxy is we're going to use shoulder range of motion to tell me what position the rib cage is in. Most people are going to be elevated, especially if you're doing functional fitness, high intensity stuff. We tend to stick our chest out, back tight, squat. Stick our chest out, head through. So that's going to pre-position our rib cage in not the greatest position for optimal efficiency. So Jesse's going to bring his arms perfectly out to the side if he can. He's bend his elbows like he's making a field goal. So I want 90 degrees from the arms to the torso. Pretty good there. He's going to keep his elbows where they are. He's just going to drop his hands down. Not great. What I look for is hands should touch the floor. Okay? I bet you Jesse can touch the floor, but if you watch what his shoulder does, if you keep driving down, see how his shoulder starts rolling forward? Okay, now the shoulder blade is moving instead of the shoulder joint. When I see this, I know that his rib cage is super, super tight, doesn't work very well. He has a hard time breathing, especially when he gets under fatigue. He probably feels really tight up in the chest. Fairly accurate? Yeah. So I want everyone to do this. You can grab a partner, you can kind of switch back and forth just to make sure you're not cheating with the shoulder, you're not doing something weird with the back. What do you feel? Okay. Do you feel how your shoulders are rolling forward? Okay. Can you keep the shoulder blades down on the ground? Not too bad. So this is pretty good. Did anyone notice the difference side to side? Was anyone's left better than the right?
I felt like one one's a little bit worse than the other, but that's also the one with the pain.
So what I see in the office is inability to internally rotate the right arm. Most people's left arms are pretty good. Okay. The reason being is, I guess, the dynamics of the rib cage and how they play into shoulder range of motion. The front side of the chest, if it can expand and contract well, you'll have good internal rotation. The back side of the rib cage, back side of the chest, if it expands and contracts well, you'll have good external rotation. I typically only test internal rotation because the life we live is here, working a computer, phone. This just gets super compressed. Most people are usually pretty good going backwards. This test, you should be doing every day because this will tell you, not the next exercise, 2 exercises, which side you're going to need to be focusing more on, okay? So from what I saw, everyone was definitely more limited on the right, but kind of limited on both sides. So the next thing we're going to go to, we've done neck, we've done rib cage, we're going to go hips. This is the one usually everyone fails. I usually focus more on the pelvis and the hips because it's kind of the keystone of the body. To be able to walk, you need to be able to shift your hips, be able to move, squatting, deadlifting. Have to have good range of motion here. I'm going to have you, Jessica, borrow you again. So I'm going to have you sit on your butt. You ever done a pigeon stretch? One leg forward, one leg back. I call it a 90-90 position. I want 90 degrees at the hips, 90 degrees at the knee, 90 degrees at the hips, 90 degrees at the knee. And what do you feel here? Tightness. It looks like it.
Uncomfortable.
So ideally, you should be able to sit up fairly comfortably, straight up and down. Most people will have a very hard time one side versus the other, okay? So Jesse's going to put his hand down, and he's going to get comfortable. Not that comfortable. Try to keep your spine as straight as possible, and the key to this is the closer you bring your legs to each other, the easier it becomes. I don't want that. I want to make this challenging so we actually see, is there a deficit? So this leg has to be straight out. This leg has to be straight out. And we're just going to hang out here. So your foot should be almost in line with your knee. Where are you feeling tightness? Cramping already? And groin and the glute. Okay. So we're going to go to the other side now. And what I'm going to tell you is most people have a harder time sitting forward with their right foot than their left foot. Same places of tightness or different places? Different. Where is it different? More glute? Left hip tightness. Okay, what we're going to do now, simple transition exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to stay in this position, and now you're going to rotate to the other side. So feet cannot move. So you're going to shift. If you got to use your hands, shift and lean, and then back and forth. Do you have pinching in your hips? If you've got pinching in your hips, how does it feel going one way versus the other? Where? Going that way is worse. What I'm going to have you do, who has pinching in their hips? Everyone. Okay. That's the first time everyone's raised their hand. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to come to a less aggressive position. So feet are going to be out. You are going to use your hands to keep your spine nice and tall. If you do this right, you should feel your butt bones, your sit bones on the floor. Does everyone feel their sit bones? Okay, I want you to rock forward. Do you feel your sit bones even more? Yes. Find your sit bones nice and tall, and you're just going to rock side to side. Do you still have pinching in the hips? Yeah. So if you still have pinching in the hips, you're just going to straighten the legs out even more, and you're just going to turn side to side. Shouldn't be any pinching. You should feel your hips working now. Yes?
What if by chance somebody felt pain still in this position?
Yeah, asking for a friend. Hypotheticals. Lean back further. Should be less, but do you still have it?
It's less, but this side doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm. So, big imbalance in the hips. You've got left shoulder pain.
I do.
Left shoulder is always connected to the right hip. When I take a step, if I step forward with my right foot, what does my left hand do? Comes forward. So I'm using this chain to help propel myself. When I'm looking at shoulder pain, again, we're looking at three areas. We're looking at the neck, we're looking at the rib cage, we're looking at the hips. This is the reason. Our body works in cross patterns. If we don't have control of those cross patterns, something's going to be overworking. Jesse's got limited right hip rotation. I know he's going to have a left shoulder issue. Now, is it going to manifest as pain? Not always, but he does have pain in the left shoulder. If I turn my leg in, my femur, my leg bone, is turning this way. If it doesn't have enough range of motion, this will start compensating, and this foot will actually start turning out. Now you're putting shear stress on the inside of the knee. It's the exact opposite if you got pain on the outside of the knee. Most people with squatting, they lack internal rotation through the hips. They get inside knee pain. That's a tendency, not always the case. I'm going to have you guys stand up. So we did what? A minute of hip rotations. I want you to go through the neck, circles, nice and slow. Do you feel any difference? Yeah? When you go down? Rotate to the side too. And then I'm going to have you go through the shoulder cars. Better, worse, same? Are you lying to me? No. Okay. I always have to ask.
I say it's great, but I mean, it's better.
It's better. So, for Jesse, doing hip stuff makes the shoulder feel better. So, if he was in the office, what do you think we'd be doing?
Hip stuff.
Hip stuff. We wouldn't look at the shoulder. We wouldn't look at the rib cage. We'd focus right here. Once that's cleared out, and maybe if he still has a little shoulder pain, then we start moving to the other areas. I will say most people do not have one root cause. They have 2, 3, or 4. So it's peeling back the layers. The hip is the most prominent for Jesse right now. Clear out the hip. Okay, what else is going on? We live As humans, we live as the best compensators in the world. Yeah? You sprain your ankle, what do? You go to the other side. You compensate to keep moving through life. We don't have the ability to stop working, stop taking care of family, doing all that stuff. So we have to figure out a way to do it. You compensate long enough, now we start getting more and more issues. Grab a bench. You can share the benches, but we're going to pull them up against the wall. So I'm going to borrow Jesse again. He's going to be on his back, feet on the wall, on top of the bench, 90-90. And ideally, this isn't a great height for him. We want it so the hips and knees are actually 90 degrees. It's a little bit too much. Short foam roller. You're going to end up grabbing a foam roller or a ball, something that you can squeeze between the knees. This exercise kills, I'm going to say 10 birds with one stone, but it's really all three things that we're talking about. Hips, rib cage, neck. You may not feel things working in the rib cage and the neck, but what I have to look for is, can you control the pelvis? Can you position the rib cage in an ideal position for optimal efficiency? And can you move around the neck? This exercise does all of that. I'll explain the move around the neck in a second. I saw that face. So Jesse is going to give a little squeeze here. He should feel his inside thighs working. Yes? Oh, yeah. He's going to take his heels and he's going to pull them into the back of his shoe into the bench. So he should feel his hamstrings working now, but he probably feels his back working as well. Yeah. Okay. So the two things I don't want here are the front of the hips, the hip flexors, and the back working. If you're doing that, now you're not actually controlling the pelvis. You're just kind of extending yourself and holding and bracing really hard. So he's going to gently pull down, like 20 to 30% effort. And he's going to lift his knees straight up in the air as he flattens his back, pulling down. So it's like a hamstring curl. So hold, yes. So flatten the back. If I can drive a bus under your back, you're cranking your back on. So drop it down, flatten. And now lift just the tailbone. Should be relaxed. He's tighter than I'll get out, so I'm going to leave that. So now his hamstring should be on freaking fire. His back should be pretty relaxed. You're going to raise your right arm up in the air. Relax your head down. He's going to breathe in through his nose and breathe all the way out through the mouth and reach this arm. So when he does this, he's going to feel a lot more left hamstring and he's going to start feeling left abs. He's going to breathe in through his nose, breathe all the way out, and he's going to reach. Go. So this exercise is going to control the pelvis. It's going to change the hip position. It's going to improve hip rotation. It's going to change rib cage position, and it's going to allow the neck to move freely on the rib cage. Doesn't look like it because all he's doing is getting his hamstrings and abs to work. Do you want me to explain why we need hamstrings and abs? I'm going to at some point. Yeah. Do you want me to do it now? Yeah. So, who has tight hamstrings? Everyone. Okay. So, muscles lengthen and then they shorten. Okay. But they need to live on a nice length tension curve. Okay. So, what's the easiest part of a bicep curl? Yeah. When it's from here to here. To get it moving is the hardest part. That muscle is as long as possible, and now we've got to use it. The hamstrings work the exact same way. But I'm going to go back to the position that we're in. If we are elevated through the rib cage, our pelvis is pushed forward, now we're stretching the hamstrings. The hamstrings are in a lengthened state because where they attach, right at the bottom of the butt, to the knee, if I do this, this part is moving further away. Right? Your brain is going to say, screw you, when you try to lengthen them even more if they're already stretched. That's why people say they have tight hamstrings. I have only seen one tight hamstring in the past 5 years I've been doing this. And they actually had a hamstring tear the year before. Most people are just stuck in this position. Fitness tends to do that to us. We back squat, what are we told? Chest up, stick your butt out. What does that do to my hamstrings? It lengthens them. Now you don't have a chance to use them well. Going up to the rib cage, why do we need abs? Abs will pull the rib cage down out of this extended position. So I want you to try this. Arms out to the side. That same test we did earlier. Try to keep your elbows exactly where they are, and you're going to drop the arms down. Not too bad, right? Push the rib cage up and forward. Reset. Hold that rib cage there, and now go down. Huge change, right? Doesn't feel comfortable either. I want you to breathe in through the nose, blow all your air out. You should feel the abs turn on a little bit. Did you feel the rib cage drop down? Hold that position. Now come back. Should be a lot easier. Slight change. So that's the reason we need to control the rib cage and the pelvis. When I say pelvis, I mean hips and pelvis together. This exercise does that. The neck. Mary gave me a look when I said we need to be able to move around the neck. Okay? So if I do this, which way is my chest pointing? Straight. My head turns to the left. If I do this, which way is my chest pointing? Still straight, just in a different direction. So it's the trick question. It's the exact same movement. I need to make sure that the rib cage moves under the neck, and I need to make sure the neck moves on the rib cage. So when we do this exercise, we start reaching. My rib cage is turning to the left. My head should be staying fairly straight. So that's how we're getting all three, hips and pelvis, rib cage, neck, involved in this exercise. Probably one of the most powerful exercises you can do, pretty much ever. You should be doing this every day. It's a really good reset after you work out, because you're not going to be able to control this while you're working out until you can convince your brain to do it automatically. I want you to be able to find something after you work out that you can calm the system down, you can turn the back off, you can reset where the rib cage is, you can relax everything in the chest. You're going to pull the heels down so you feel the hamstrings working. Once you feel the hamstrings working, you're doing pretty good. If you feel your back working, I want you to flatten the back, okay? And then once we start getting the arm involved, you should feel left abs, not right abs, not low back, just left abs. So for this, ideally, your feet are gonna be on the wall. If you've got shorter legs, it's gonna be a little bit harder. But as long as your heels are on the bench. So the reason we want the heels on the wall is to make sure that we have a grounding connection. What's so funny? I don't know. All right. I'm going to ask you a question here. What position is this while you're doing fitness? Relaxing. Who said squat? So this is a squat position. Just makes it easier to get the right muscles involved because we're on your back. You're a little more relaxed. All right. You ready to start? Okay. So heels start pulling down into the bench. Don't pull so hard that it lifts your pelvis off yet. Everyone got their hamstrings working? Yes. I want you to think about tucking your tail. I want you to look like a dog pooping. So you should feel like your tailbone is coming 1 inch off the ground and your back is flattening into the ground. So I want you to pretend there's a spider under your back. Flatten, crush my hand. Crush it. There. Now let your tail line. Yes. Good. The hamstrings working now? Good. Whoops. Who's shaking already? Me. So if you're shaking, I know you don't have hamstring control. Yes. But Mary's strong. So she has figured out a way to compensate around what she needs to do. I'm going to have you raise your right hand in the air. Whose back is working? No one's? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just yell. Yell at me. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe all the way out like you're blowing up a balloon. And reach your hand towards the ceiling. You should feel your back start flattening a little bit more. Breathe all the way out and reach. Reach, reach, reach. Do you feel left abs kick on? Breathe in through the nose. Breathe all the way out and reach. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe all the way out. Go, go, go. All of your air. If you can still talk, you're not breathing all your air out. All right, on this last one in, I want you to focus on filling up the rib cage with air. Breathe in. And relax. Completely relax. Arms come down. Whose back was working? Did it start decreasing as you went through this? And you fixed it. Beautiful. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have you stand up and walk around. You should feel different.
Whole new woman.
Whole new woman. You're probably going to feel very heavy. All right, now we're going to go back to where we started. All the way around nice and slow. Does that feel different to you?
Hard to tell with my ortho. See the there.
Smoother. I like smoother. Do your shoulders feel loose when you do that? Do you still have tightness? Little? Okay. Neck. Chin down. Rotate. What difference do you notice there? Less tightness. I like that. More range of motion. People still have clicking, popping, grinding. Yes, always. So non-painful clicking, popping, grinding is usually not an issue. It's just joints moving, making the noises. If you've got discomfort, if you have tightness when it happens, if you have pain, that's when you need to get it looked at. So the shaking is your brain trying to figure out how to activate the muscle the way you're trying to use it. Okay? So it's on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Your brain just can't figure out how to consistently keep it on to start using it. Majority of you, this is all you're going to need, and your shoulder will probably feel really good.